Okay.
real reals.
And what's the range of this function?
Negative 1 to 1 included.
Okay. Now for what? So for the inverse sign, what is the domain of this one?
It's negative 1 to 1.
Negative 1 to 1. And what is the range?
All reals.
No, the range is not all reals.
Negative pi over 2 to pi over 2.
What is that, Mr.?
Negative pi over 2 to pi over 2.
Now, I'm reviewing this with you because when we go through our examples today, we have to kind of ask ourselves a bunch of questions when we're evaluating this, okay? So now let's talk about this one. Y equals cosine of x. So everybody take a little bit of time and determine your domain and range of these and your domain, your domain and range for these. And Jules will, I won't call on you since you were here last week. Zidane. No? Don't guess, just look. I want you guys to look it up. This is new. Now, but we're talking about a different function here, so you gotta be careful.
0 to pi.
All right, 0 to pi. Thank you, miss.
Oh, because we're restricting the domain. Right.
Well, we had to restrict, in order to make it a function,
Right.
this part of this domain did have to be restricted,
Okay.
but it has to be restricted different than this one.
Right.
Okay, and then the last one. Why don't you guys sit apart from me?
The domain of tangent is it 2 pi over 2?
Negative pi over 2 plus pi. X cannot equal.
Okay, yeah, we gotta be careful. Okay, so it's the set of x such that x
Does not equal
does not equal
negative
pi over 2
plus
plus pi in. Now there's more than one way to write that, right guys?
But integers, yeah.
Good job. Good job. All right.
No, you're taking it from the wrong spot.
Cassidy, what's the range?
all reals.
I'm gonna write it like this since that's in set notation. Okay. Okay.
So this one we wouldn't necessarily have to restrict. I mean, you restrict the domain, but it's just going to be one
It's just
period, right?
Mhm.
of
Yep.
a tangent.
Yep, it does have, it is just one period. Okay, so Johanna, what would the domain of this one be? All real still.
Wait, why?
Isn't every asymptote?
Because remember, for the inverse, they're flipped.
I know, but I thought we were restricting the domain on this one. On the
Well,
inverse.
you would have to restrict the domain of this one in order for this one to be in order for this one to be a function.
Okay.
But you don't have to restrict the range on this one in order for this one to be a function.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Okay? All right?
Sorry.
So, no. Miss Gilmore, what would the range be on this one?
Negative pi over 2 to pi over 2.
Okay? Now, tell me if I'm writing this right.
No, it's not included.
Okay. So it's not
There's
included.
an asymptote, and nothing happens there. It's all wonky and crazy.
Okay, how are you guys doing? A bunch of composition functions up for you. And to me, that's the best way to just get in there and just look at a bunch of different examples so that you can start learning how to ask the important questions to yourself. All right, so now we'll start. We're just going to start with some basic ones, no compositions yet. We'll just do a few normal inverse functions. We did a lot with sine the other day. So, okay, so evaluate each. This is your instructions. Evaluate each. And I'll just put a bunch up here again today. Cos inverse of 0. We'll start with some cosine inverse functions. And maybe let's throw in some tangent ones in there.
Yeah, the tangent ones will confuse Ryan.
No, it's pi over 4.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the ratios.
Well, it helps when
Let's see how we're doing with this. So, for these functions, all of these right here, don't say this out loud. Everybody think of this in your head. What is the answer to this question that I'm going to ask you? What is the input? What kind of an input do we have? And don't say it out loud. Gosh darn it. Okay, what kind of input do each of these have? And what kind of an output are we looking for? Okay, don't say it out loud, Zidane. Okay? If you can answer those two questions, raise your hand. What kind of an input are these for these examples? And what kind of an output am I looking for? Okay, Jackson, Morgan.
A ratio is an angle.
What do you mean? What? I don't get that.
Input, angle measures the output.
Say again.
Ratio is the input, angle measures the output.
Right. So anytime on the outside it's inverse, something inverse, something inverse, something inverse, something inverse, we know that the answer to that should be an angle. Okay? So then you say, what angle, the cosine, so this is the second question in this one. The cosine of what angle equals 0? Okay, so if you can tell me that, raise your hand. The cosine of what angle equals 0? Dallas? Pi over 2. Okay, how many of you agree with Dallas? Okay, she's agreeing but having a question? Okay, yes.
Okay, so, but you can also go 3 pi over 2, and that's also 0, so how do you know which one?
If they're
Whichever
whichever
one's in
length.
the domain, right?
Well, it would be whichever one's, so what is the range of this function? Or what is the range of this function?
0 to pi.
0 to pi.
0 to pi. Is 3 pi over 2 in that
No.
range?
No.
Okay.
So that-
And so that's why knowing these domains and ranges, good answer, Dallas, on that. Knowing these domains and ranges, that's why I wanted to make sure we spent time going over those
Okay.
before we got started in this, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you guys just a few minutes to figure out those.